Assalamu alaikum, this is Adam from the Amir system, and what we're going to be talking about is a concept of animalistic versus the animalistic nature of the human being versus the prophetically calibrated nature of the human being. So this is Islamic social skills. We're going to go super deep. It's going to be very fun. Okay, so if you're a person that wants to improve their social skills, they want to improve their communication, their relationships, maybe that's at work, maybe that's at home, or you just want to have a better social life, you want to give dawah, you want to inspire people with the message of Islam, and you don't want to be held back by that, negative thoughts, that stress, maybe that loneliness, that that gets really real. In this society, everybody's fragmented everywhere. It's very transactional, right? And finding those good relationships and finding those good brothers and sisters you can surround yourself with, it's very, very crucial. And having that brotherhood or that sisterhood is really going to be a game changer. Okay? Let's get into it. So, understanding you have this animalistic nature of the human being. What do I mean by this? I was watching this fantastic chimpanzee documentary. It's called Chimp Empire. And what you start to understand is they behave very similarly to humans. In fact, it's actually very similar to the time of the Prophet ﷺ, where they were very tribalistic. So chimpanzees are very tribalistic. And we're just using chimpanzees as an analogy. But there is this biological piece in our fitrah, right? That animal nature of a human being, that when left to your own devices, you're going to be acting like that. Okay, we know that, a human can be worse than an animal or, even better than the angels because we have that beautiful option of free will. But what starts to happen, you can even look at society right now, how people talk about hypergamy. Here's the truth. You want to know the truth about hypergamy? There's a hadith, I don't remember, it's Quran or hadith, but it says the children of Adam will always want more. They will never be satisfied with what they have. And this perfectly shows you the nature of the human being. And hypergamy what is that? That's just wanting more. So whether you're a man or you're a woman, you're always going to want more. Now, if we can find contentment within Allah, then we're actually hopping out of that equation. And that's going on to the more of the prophetically calibrated side, which we will talk about. But if you want to be like a like a primate, just look at the state of this modern world where people are just going out to clubs, drinking. They're following their desires. This is an animalistic tendencies, because what do animals do? They follow their instincts. They follow their how they were just they're very reactive to their instincts. Right? They don't have a whole lot of control. They don't have that prefrontal cortex and that understanding. They're more so like monkey mind, if you want to think about it that way. So if they're like that, and they're just following what they're doing, and they're just, sleeping with like random monkeys, if there's like a girl monkey like left alone, like sometimes like the male monkey would just come in and try to have a relations with them. Like, it's crazy stuff. You see them having these dominance displays, right? They're beating their chest, they're making noise, they're taking up space. And this is something, if you look at human beings, you see us doing the same thing. It looks a little bit different. If you want to do a status display, you'll buy a nice car if you have the means to, or you try to buy a nice car or work up to it, right? If you could be very loud in an environment, if in a social situation. So maybe you're not acting like a monkey, or maybe you are acting like a monkey and you're telling a lot of jokes, being very funny, and this is how you do your dominance display. Or it even shows in your tone of voice. Do you have a deep voice that's like commanding, Or do you kind of have this unsure sort of voice where you're not very sure, you're very low status, right? And it depends on how you feel really shows within the hierarchy, okay? So in Amir Social Dynamics, we hack this a little bit. And we play some of those animalistic tendencies, like the way that you act, right? Can you change the way that you act because you have free will? Yes, you can. So you could act a little bit more high status. But then we're not purely going based off of that. We're looking at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what did he act like? The best adab, strong yet humble, right? Shy yet, again, strong, right? Not willing to compromise the deen, right? Strong relationship with Allah. So if we can understand human nature, like for example, humans have a tendency to follow a leader, right? So in a animalistic context, they're just gonna follow the most dominant, like alpha male, basically, right? If you look at it, right, whoever has the most status within the tribe. In Islam, it's a little bit more controlled, right? So they're gonna follow the appointed leader, the Amir, right? So these are some of the differences between just leaving humans to their own devices versus falling into the laws and the commandments of Allah, right? We know that if 3 or more people are traveling, you must appoint an Amir. Why? To avoid these weird power trips, and that's one of the wisdoms behind it, right? And always having one leader, right? Because without that, it causes a lot of conflict, right? Even when we're praying salah, it's not two imams. There's one imam, right? Similarly, when you're leading a country, there is one amir, there's one khalifa. It's very the doctrine of Islam. Have you seen that clip of Ben Affleck? He's like, the codified doctrine of Islam, and then he was like defending Islam. But it's cohesive. It makes sense, right? Even when you apply it from something as small as a family level, right, where the husband would be the Amir of the house. Why? Because if everybody wants to be the boss, it's too many cooks. You spoil the broth, right? And we can see this clearly, right? You can see the power struggles and things like that. So this is why Islam, from the family unit all the way to running a society, it has a coherent way of doing things that fall in line, subhanAllah, with the nature of the world, the way that Allah has designed it. No wonder, right? Like if Allah designed the world and designed us as human beings, we are flawed, right? We are flawed, and He has given us the prescription, right? The rules on how to live about life. So let's talk a little bit about purifying the heart, and this is a huge means for getting that prophetic calibration. Is one part of it is like just the self-reflection and analysis, having that self-reproaching soul, right? Where you're constantly questioning yourself, not in a schizo sort of being overly thinking in your head that impinges on your execution, but in a way where you're constantly questioning, did I do something wrong? Could I have done better? Is my intention, questioning your intention, is my intention fully aligned for Allah, seeking the pleasure of Allah, and I'm doing this because of the fear of Allah and the pleasure of Allah, or am I doing this for the fear of the people and the pleasure of the people? Especially when it comes to seeking approval, seeking validation, right? So these are very important things that if you don't look to yourself and reflect, you won't be able to know. Now, practically, when you're trying to improve your social skills, you're going to go out, right? You're going to meet new people, right? Because we know the law of large numbers, right? If you have a small sample size, you're going to get skewed results. If you talk to a lot of people, you're going to get more accurate results of how you're doing. And it's healthy. You get outside of your own little bubble, right? It's like a comfort zone and an echo chamber that you might be in. If you hang out with the same people, you're not going to see change, right? So they always say, you are the top 5 people, or like a few years ago, everybody was saying, oh, cut this person off, cut this person off. Well, as you notice, when you start to grow, sometimes you grow out of people, right? And it's not that you leave those relationships to the side, but you can love them from a distance, right? And that might be the best thing, instead of causing more chaos. And surround yourself with righteous people. And these are all ways that you're going to start to spiritually, create an ecosystem where you can sustainably be spiritually tapped in. But not only, but it's not just about being spiritually tapped in, but are you serving for the sake of Allah, right? Are you working to establish His deen? Are you working to, and this is all things that one must understand as having a purpose of being a Muslim. Okay, and then once you go out, you're going to do a field report after you come home, because when you're out, you're trying to work on that release muscle. You're going to relax. You're going to let yourself, free flow, joke around a little bit, get a little bit more comfortable. You're almost in this flow state and like this meditative state, and you're focused. You have focus on the people and the social interaction and being present for them. Then and don't be thinking about all this stuff. Then when you go home, you can start analyzing. Be like, okay, it's like the post-game analysis, right? You're gonna say, hey, what went well, what didn't go so well. You're gonna write down what you did well, right? And if you were doing things that were good, if you were making people feel good, right? Giving them care and attention, listening to them, inspiring them with the message of Islam, giving them reminders, right? You can commend yourself for that, and feel that, okay, like I did something right in the path of Allah to get ajr, and you were hungry for ajr. Okay, so that's good. Commend yourself for that, and then see what could you have worked on. What was the one thing that was lacking, right? And having this understanding of social dynamics and having this lens is really going to help you understand where you might have went wrong. So lastly, what I'm going to do today for you is I'm going to share you a sneak peek behind the course, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about authenticity and relatability. And this is going to be huge to understand how to, one was we were talking about prophetic calibration, but this is how can you be socially calibrated and really improve when you're speaking with people and be able to relate with them. Because sometimes you're on a totally different wavelength and people don't understand what's going on, right? And there's this mismatch, right? But this is going to show you how to win friends and influence people. All right, let's get into it. So, right over here, it's like a Venn diagram. You have your authenticity. So this is about you as a believer, as a servant of Allah, and the personal traits that He's given you, right? Your personality, your temperaments, all that stuff. That makes you. That makes your authentic self. Okay. And then what we have right over here is we have your relatability. Okay? And what your relatability is about, it's actually not yours. So this is actually the other person. Okay? And what you need to do is, can you find that sweet spot in between? So what you're going to do is you're going to play a little game of battleship. You're going to tell them, you're going to talk about one topic, or you're going to send out, some vibes in one way. And you're going to start off by being authentic. And maybe it doesn't hit quite. So you try something else. Okay, you notice this is a little bit better. Oh, boom, you found the sweet spot. Okay, perfect. Okay, let me try this. Great, right? And you're also listening to the other person, right? So you can also hit on their spots as well, right? And this is the ideal, this is the sweet spot that you want to be in, right there, okay? And this is really how you get good at speaking with different people. This is right here. You want to be in that red spot, okay? So this is how you really start getting good with people, because you want to first show up, and people think being authentic is like doing this one thing. But being authentic could mean a number of different things. I could do this. I could just sit like normally or stand normally. I could, start talking in a British accent. There's a lot of things that I could do right now. There's many decisions, but they're all authentic, right? And when you're able to show a little bit and be vulnerable and show who you are, the other person is also going to feel comfortable showing who they are, right? And if you are a good fit, you're going to find that sort of middle zone. If not, there's other ways to, you'd have to listen more. You'd have to sort of see, but this is how you can find somebody that you can relate with very well, and especially if you're trying to find Muslims, there's going to be a ton to relate with, because your values and your goals are the same, right? Or maybe if you're giving dawah, sometimes you find that it conflicts a little bit, right? And in that case, you want to be eager to learn from them, and you want to present what you're saying in a way that they can learn from you. But that's a different conversation. Now, the last thing, the really important thing is you want to all do this in the scope of permissibility. So you don't want to be backbiting, you don't want to be talking trash about people, you don't want to be talking about doing bad things, you don't want to be talking about glorifying other than Allah. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but this is how you factor in the Sharia into this, and do it all within the bounds of Allah. Okay? Well, that is it for today. Okay? Don't forget to do all the things. Thank you for making it to the end of the video, and really taking the time to invest in yourself, in your own social skills. The best thing to do, though, is take action. So engage with the video, right? Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. And make sure you take some action, okay? I want you to go out there. I want you to go meet some new people, meet 3 new people this week, and then write a field report. Reflect on it, do some tazkiyah. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.